welcome back to the Fumble Live. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have so much to get into. There was a lot of drama that went down with Celtics fans and Kyrie Irving, a bunch of other athletes chiming into everything that happened. We also have to talk about Naomi Osaka and how she withdrew from, I'm sorry about that, you guys. We're talking about Naomi Osaka and everything that she discussed over the weekend. Plus, we're giving you a quick little playoff update. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
What's up, everybody? I forgot what day it was. I was going to say happy Monday. It's not Monday. I'm your girl, Jackie Ray. On all things social media at Jerry the Fanatic. But it is Taco Tuesday.
Yes.
What day is it? I lost it for a minute, but I got it. I'm back now.
I know. I almost said happy Monday at the top of the show, too. And then I realized, nope, it's not Monday. Let me tell you, that 3-day weekend was so needed. I'm feeling very good. I'm feeling really excited about the coming week, especially because today we have so much news to break down. So I just want to get right into it, okay? So let's do it. So we have to talk first about Kyrie Irving, what KD had to say about the fans in the stands. It seems like with every playoff game that we've seen, we have a new story about how fans are just acting up in the stands. And Kevin Durant has a pretty loud and clear message for all of the diehards who are just acting like fools during games. We've seen Sixers fans throw popcorn on Russell Westbrook. We've seen Knicks fans spit on Trae Young. And then now, in the most recent event on Sunday, a water bottle was tossed at Kyrie Irving by a Celtics zealot. Now you guys can see the clip here. There's a water bottle that'll fall like right there. Someone tried to drop that right on Kyrie's head. Very, very bizarre behavior. It's childish, it's embarrassing, and it ruins the experience for the people nearby these fans and for the athletes. The athletes just want to go in and focus on the game, have fun, enjoy what they're doing, try and win, and then they have fans just acting like idiots. First, Jackie, before we get into what KD said, what KD delivered as a message to fans across the nation, what was your reaction to seeing this water bottle fall right pretty much on Kyrie's head?
I mean, it's always kind of peculiar to me because we have people to prevent the players from taking off on fans when this kind of thing happens, but we really don't have a way to protect the players from this kind of thing happening. So it's getting unnerving to me. I said earlier, but when we were talking before the show started, I said that it's kind of odd, even as a fan watching the game with fans back in the stands. And I'm sure it's unnerving to the players a little bit. I'm sure it's throwing a couple of people's games off just a little bit. But if they're going to continue to behave like this, I say shut it back down. Like, make this one of those things where, like when you were a kid, if it was one person who messed it up for everybody. So shut it back down and let these players play out. We're in the playoffs now. It's not like it's the beginning of the season and there's a lot of basketball left. There's not that much basketball left. I say shut it back down and teach the whole fan base for every team a lesson, and let's see how y'all act next season. But I say shut it back down. This is stupid.
In theory, that's a great idea, but they won't. They are not going to risk that money. They're going to keep fans there, even if it means putting the players, at risk of a number of things. We have actually stuff coming up in the post-up about the weird things fans are doing. But KD does have a message for everybody who's acting up in the stands. Leo, can we play that clip right now?
These men are human. We not animals. We not in a circus. You coming to the game is not all about you as a fan. So have some respect for the game, have some respect for these human beings, and have some respect for yourself. Your mother wouldn't be proud of you throwing water bottles at basketball players or spitting on players or tossing popcorn. So grow the up and enjoy the game. Yeah?
I love that. For me, whenever somebody is acting really hateful or awful in public, and if I'm the one intervening, I always say your mother would be so ashamed of you right now. And maybe their mother wouldn't be, and maybe they learned those things from their mother, who knows. But I think it is a strong insult, because when you think of a mother figure, it's somebody that's going to take care of you, nurture you, and wants to see you be the best version of yourself possible. And throwing water bottles at basketball stars is not the best version of anybody, I can guarantee that. So KD, I say that was very well said. I appreciated that statement, and I do think that fans need to get their act together because this is getting ridiculous. But fans are actually no, before we dive into what Kyrie is coming under fire for, Jackie, what did you think about KD's statement?
I mean, it was spot on. I mean, it's ridiculous what these fans are doing. I don't think any of them are at all thinking about their mother, though. So I don't think that that's, even a thought process for them. I see people in the chat say, find the people. And I know a couple of people did get fined and a couple of people did get banned, but we talked about that last week. Like, how are you gonna permanently ban somebody unless you've got some sort of facial recognition? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand how you're gonna actually enforce that. That's number one. But I do think an arrest would stop things. Technically, throwing a water bottle at somebody, although it's minor, it is an assault. And I think if you arrest somebody, not just the arena police, because they do. Most arenas have the arena police, and then they'll just kind of escort you out. I think a full-on arrest where you actually get charges, when people realize, oh, this can go on my record, even if as a misdemeanor, most people don't want that. Then maybe we would see this come to an end. But I have someone in the post up that we're going to talk about that, although I know promoting violence is not the answer. I'm a big fan. We'll talk about that in the post up though.
I'm a fan of that one too. So the Celtics fans who actually threw the water bottle at Kyrie did get arrested. So that was some swift action that was taken. So let's discuss the reason Kyrie is coming under fire here, because he is getting dragged after he supposedly stomped on the Celtics logo. Let's take a look at this video here. Let's just take a moment, observe it, look what Kyrie does. There's Lucky the Leprechaun. Honestly, I would hardly call that a stomp. Like, I don't feel like he went over there and was like, oh, I'm going to stomp on Lucky the Leprechaun. It doesn't feel to me like he was intentionally going over there to disrespect the logo, but I think that I might be in the minority here when I say that. I'm not totally sure. But there are a bunch of people who reacted online, including current and former NBA players. Cedric Maxwell tweeted, we have that tweet for you right here. He says, Kyrie, you are a great player. Why the classless act? And then Kevin Garnett also came for Kyrie on his Instagram story. He said, so nobody going to say anything about Kyrie stomping Lucky? We just going to act like we didn't see that? The F is going on. You can't do that. That's not cool on no level. All of us need to be better for real, for real. I'm just saying. And then he had a little good morning message for everybody. And then this one, I thought this one was the funniest one. Glenn Big Baby Davis said, real BS. Like I said, you step on Lucky, you step on everybody that played for that team. Keep that ish basketball before somebody get hurt in real life. Now you can see KD responded with a bunch of crying and laughing emojis, and he said, please. So, Jackie, why is this narrative of Kyrie versus Boston such a thing still? Is this beef really real? Was that an actual stomp? Is it time people let this go? What's your reaction?
I mean, the way the Boston fans act, y'all lucky he didn't pee on that damn logo, because y'all just be so out of pocket. And when he did that little baby stomp, I was right there with you, Devin. I was like, yo, if you gonna stomp, get your whole crew. Let's disrespect this logo, because Boston fans and Boston, just Boston in general, people in Boston are out of pocket. That's a logo. That's not a real person. And what they do to real people in Boston is gross. Pee on that logo. I don't care nothing about that. Big Baby Davis can go straight to hell. I don't like Big Baby Davis as a person. I've met him several times. If you watch, and you know how I feel about you. I don't like him, and he could catch all them hands. So no, don't listen to him, sir. Don't listen to that man. He's a big baby.
All right, so Jackie just went real public with her beef with Big Baby. I love that. Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems like this was hardly a stomp at all. It's not a big deal. It's not worth going so crazy over. There were people who were so upset about it. And in reality, like, the Celtics fandom disrespects Kyrie all the time. So why would they ever expect Kyrie to come and respect them and respect the Celtics? Plus, I just don't even think I don't think he went over there and he was like, I'm going to stomp on Lucky. Do you really think that he had that intention when he went over there and kind of mushed his feet around? To me, it just doesn't seem like it. You think so?
Oh, he went over there to step on Lucky's face, but it was one of those things like F Boston is what he was thinking, and that is a legitimate feeling to have, because Boston is not the spot. especially if you black, and especially if you go in there and beat the Celtics. It's not the spot. It was definitely meant as a disrespect, but it wasn't overt, and it definitely didn't need the attention it got. It wasn't overt. I saw somebody in the chat say what T.O. did in Dallas. That was overt. T.O. went to the middle of the field on the star in Dallas, put that ball down, and did this whole like praise thing. That was overt disrespect. But what Kyrie did was not overt. It was warranted, but it wasn't overt.
Yeah, I feel like we have seen athletes across a number of sports leagues do way more blatant things to the opposing team's logo. So for people to be so up in arms about what Kyrie did is a little bit silly. I think you guys need to settle down. I understand that logos are very important to fan bases. They mean a lot, but like, come on.
It's paint. It's paint. It's not an actual person, y'all. Y'all feeling all this kind of way about paint that can be literally removed. Y'all need help. Therapy is real, y'all. Y'all should get that.
I know, they're like, but what about Lucky? It's like, oh, come on, relax. Jeez. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to move on here because we have people who are super angry about what Naomi Osaka did, and I'm curious to hear your take on this one. So on Sunday, she was fined $15,000 after she skipped the mandatory press conference following her first win at the French Open. She said ahead of time that she was going to be bypassing the media just to protect her own mental health. This is a sentiment that's been echoed by a number of athletes across a number of different leagues. And so since she received the fine and threats of disqualification if she didn't continue to if she continued to not comply with the tournament's press rules, she decided that she was actually going to withdraw from the French Open entirely. She issued a statement that said, quote, I think now the best thing for the tournament and the other players. Leo, we can put that up in a little bit, actually. She said, I think the best thing for the tournament and the other players and my well-being is that I withdraw so that everyone can get back to focusing on the tennis going on in Paris. I never wanted to be a distraction, and I accept that my timing was not ideal and my message could have been clearer. More importantly, I would never trivialize mental health or use the term lightly. The truth is that I have suffered long bouts of depression since the U.S. Open in 2018, and I've had a really hard time coping with that. I thought that she had a very, very mature statement, and I can find no fault with it, but there were a number of reactions on Twitter. Some were positive and supportive, others were very negative. So Leo, let's get that first one up there. Steph Curry tweeted saying, you shouldn't ever have to make a decision like this, but so damn impressive taking the high road when the powers that be don't protect their own. Major respect. And then we have another tweet coming up that says, this is from Liz Cambridge, doing media is forced upon us. It's time to start protecting those that don't want to speak. Let their game speak for them. Being forced to do media shouldn't be part of being an athlete. Another one that says, protect Naomi Osaka in all the ways society has failed to protect Serena Williams from racism via the press to this day. And then another one that says, Naomi Osaka is a legend. She said, here's that press you wanted, which is true. This is all the press they could possibly need, is her withdrawing from the tournament altogether. But then, of course, there were the haters. This person says, adios, spoiled brat. If you can handle playing in a tough tennis match in front of over 30,000 people, but you can't answer questions from 30 to 40 media members after it, then you should quit professional tennis and go stock shelves at a Walmart. You woke social justice warrior crybabies are a joke. Another that says,
you know what nationality he is. You made that blatantly obvious, you big dummy. Go ahead.
I know, right? It's like, that's the kind of man I want to bring home to my parents. Spoiled brat. Glad I'll be watching those who actually want to be there. And then another one that says, the world is full of people who have jobs where they have to deal with people who stress them out. Most of them don't make millions of dollars to play a game they love while it happens. Naomi Osaka is a spoiled, obnoxious brat, and I hope a smelly ferret bites her. Bizarre threat there. Jackie, let's get your initial reaction here.
Okay, so I had a very visceral reaction to this whole thing because I was actually watching it in real time on Instagram when she didn't talk to press. And then Rob Parker, who, if you guys probably know, Rob Parker, if you watch sports talk at all, he said something similar. And he said that if she's struggling with mental health, then she should bow out of the U.S. Open, that people would have been, disappointed, but you can't play tennis and then say you have mental health. And that is a very obtuse thought process. That is a thought process from somebody who's never struggled with mental health at all. When my dad passed away in 2015, I struggled. And the only thing that brought me like real joy was doing what I loved. I was singing at the time. I was in the studio all the time. I was recording. That's when I started podcasting as well, is because it was very comforting to me to do something that I was so passionate about and I loved. And so doing that was one thing. Dealing with people was another. It wasn't as easy for me to just talk to people because I was going through something. Yes, I could go to the studio and knock stuff out. Yes, I could do podcasts and kill that. And so on the surface, you might look at me and be like, oh, she's doing really, really well because she's working. She's working really hard. But that's what gave me joy in that moment. But then when I wasn't doing that, I would be in this moment in time and I would sulk, and then the world would just kind of cave in on me. Naomi Osaka is dope as hell at tennis. This is her passion. This is something that she loves to do. This is something that brings her joy. This is something that's probably uplifting her out of whatever depression that she's in. And to say to her, like, no, you have to make a choice. You either don't play or you talk to the media. Again, this is something she should be protected from. If this is her outlet to lift her up, she should 100% be allowed to do that. But say, hey, even though this makes me feel good, talking to you guys does not. I don't want to do that. And it should be an option for her. And we shouldn't force people to do things that they're not mentally ready to do. Just because she's mentally ready to play tennis does not mean she's mentally ready to be bombarded by questions from people that she doesn't really like and don't have her best interest at heart. They are two separate things. And the fact that people don't understand that is unnerving to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like the person that said, oh, you can play tennis in front of 30,000 people, but you can't answer questions from 30 to 40 media members. Those are two different things. You could put me on a stage in front of thousands and I'll be fine. Put me in front of 20 people and I'm a nervous wreck. Like I can do public speaking in a number of areas when I can't really see a bunch of people around, because it's just there's so many of them. So it's two entirely different experiences. And being an athlete doesn't necessarily mean that she's also comfortable speaking to the public. It's hard though because media and sports have this like symbiotic relationship. They need one another to survive. So I understand why the media wants these interviews, but I don't think that the athletes should be forced to do them every single time. I feel like a proper solution would be to kind of give athletes across all sports a number of free passes that they can use when they're just really not feeling up for it, when they're not mentally there. We've seen Kyrie want to avoid speaking to the media because people always twist what he really says. And so I think that what we need to be able to do is give them these opportunities to back out where they're not completely backing out for the entire season. What do you think a good solution would be here?
I mean, I think a person should be able to tell you they don't want to talk to you today. You know what I mean? I think that should be a thing. I don't think that's some overt disrespect. I understand, like you said, the media needs, but her level of play on the court is plenty to talk about. If she doesn't want to sit down and have a verbal discussion with you, you still have plenty to talk about just from watching her play. And if she needs to take a match, 2, even 3 matches off because she's going through something, we need to allow people to go through what they're going through, however they need to go through it. If her going through, and I feel bad for her because I do feel in my heart of heart that tennis is something that makes her feel better. She loves what she does. Now we're taking that away from her. So now she just has to go through whatever she's going through without doing what she loves. It's like a double whammy for her. And it's like we just don't care. I saw somebody in the contract says a contract is a contract. No, humanity is humanity, period. I don't give a damn what you guys wrote down on paper. If someone is mentally struggling and you don't have the compassion to say, oh my gosh, she's mentally struggling, let me see how I can help. If that's not your first go-to, if your first go-to is not let me see how I can help, it's like, oh, it's her contract and give a damn how you need help. You need just as much help as she does, and you should see somebody about that. That is, the lack of humanity in this situation is terrible to me.
I know, I agree. I think that we need to view athletes as humans before athletes, and I think that that's a very difficult concept for people to understand. Why is that, Jackie? Why do you think that we are always so quick to compartmentalize athletes as just athletes and not really human beings with true feelings and emotions and struggles?
Because most of us can't do what they do. And so since we can't do what they do, we put them on this godlike pedestal, and we don't expect them to have feelings. We don't expect them to have moments of weakness. We expect them to be great at all times. And it's because we can't do what they do. And they are humans. They are superhumans in some respects with what they do, but they are still humans. They still have feelings, and we need to expect that. We need to expect that people who play at this level, because I don't think we also understand the sacrifices that it takes to play and compete at the level that we're talking about in Naomi Osaka. Like the things that she had to go through to get to this level, we will never go through. We will never know that. So for her to have a moment of weakness, we should understand that, yeah, the level of commitment that she's had to get to this level, things that she probably had to give up. Let's let her have one moment of weakness. She's not a god. She's a human being, period.
Yes. Yes, Jackie, I love that. I agree with that 100%. We do need to start showing more compassion and empathy to people of all walks of life, pro athletes, celebrities, the homeless guy on the corner. Like, we just need to be more compassionate people in general. Okay, let's get to a quick little playoff update before we go into the post-up. Now, this is painful for me to say, but AD is out with a groin injury, so that's bad news for the Lakers. LeBron is going to have to step up, which we know he can do, but what do the Lakers need to do in order to still walk away the victors in this series?
I don't know. As the woman who has said the only way we survive is if we have a healthy AD and a healthy LeBron, and now we don't have AD, your girl's panicked. Let me just let y'all know right now, I'm going to be watching tonight's game with a whole bottle of whiskey by myself. I might be going through something tomorrow myself. This is unnerving to me. They are a dynamic duo. It's a beautiful thing to see them be a dynamic duo, but now they're down to one. Kyle Kuzma has gone missing a lot of times. I don't know what's going on with KCP. I don't know, but my boy ain't got it. He I don't know. Talk to me tomorrow. I don't know.
Okay, I know it is very painful. We're gonna have to see everybody step up a lot more. We're gonna have to see Kyle Kuzma not go missing. Everybody's gonna be carrying extra weight. So very unfortunate, very upsetting, because I'm with you. I believe that the Lakers are the team that we want them to be and the exciting team to be because of LeBron and AD. And it's hard for one person to carry the entire team. So we'll see what happens. The Heat was swept by the Bucks. What happened here? How did they go from being in the finals to being swept in the first round?
I mean, they did not look... And this is what I was worried about when Sham said that, there was some intensity between Jimmy and everyone else. I was like, damn, they can't get swept, because now guess what everybody's going to circle back to? Y'all start watching headlines tomorrow. They're going to circle back and they're going to start wondering, is Jimmy Butler the problem? I do think Jimmy's the problem, not in the way that people think, though. I think that he was hyper-focused. I think that whole team was hyper-focused in the bubble. And because that's all they had to focus on. Jimmy didn't have any family there. He was rallying the troops, and everyone was just hyper-focused. Now everybody's just kind of living their best life in Miami. You know what I mean? So there's a lot that comes with that. And I just think they lost some of their focus. And I think it showed drastically, because being swept is one thing. Being completely blown out a couple times is another. And the Heat need to really be concerned about what they saw in this playoff series, because this was bad. And none of us expected this from, like, we all thought the Bucks were going to go in there and look like, because Giannis had this whole like, oh, it's whatever attitude. So we kind of expected them to look like that. We did not expect this at all. So Miami needs to be concerned.
Yeah, we really didn't expect this. And you're right. Being swept is one thing, but some of those final scores with the Heat versus the Bucks, I mean, they were embarrassing. So I don't really know what went wrong, but we said in the beginning, is Jimmy going to be able to keep his attention focused on the game? Because obviously the bubble worked for him, and now we're in an entirely different experience with fans. with, home court advantage and all of that. So it's just different in general. Let's talk about the Clippers, okay? So they are officially tied up with the Mavs. Did we speak too soon?
Nope, they getting bounced in the first round. They out. I don't care. I am not recanting my Clippers slander. No, I'm not. They getting bounced in the first round. I will say this though. Kevin Pryor in the chat. Now, if y'all watched Challenge Accepted last week, you know that I've been saying off top that the Knicks were a first round out. They were getting bounced in the first round as well. Last week, I was like, well, let me rethink that, because the Knicks look really, really great. But now y'all out here looking a hot mess. I'm mad at the Knicks. I'm really mad at the Knicks. I did not expect them looking like this, and it's ridiculous. So I'm going to reinstitute my Knicks slander right now. Y'all are trash. I don't like y'all.
I love it, Jackie. I have a feeling that if you were in one of the fans in the stands at any of these games, maybe you'd be the one throwing the water bottles at a Knicks players.
I would not. And you know why? Because my dad always told me, don't hit somebody if you don't expect to get hit back. Period. So don't start none, won't be none. I live my life by that. So no, I'm not throwing nothing.
So maybe whatever Bradley Beal said that we're talking about in the post-up hits home for you a little bit. So let's get into the post-up. I know we have a lot to get into.
Yes, let's get into it, guys. It's been a fun show already. It's about it a little bit more fun, funner, whatever. So we talked a lot about these fans. Now, this normally wouldn't bother me because this is just a thing that fans do. A lot of people think it's funny. But I think with the intensity and all the negativity that these fans are having right now, this one kind of bothered me. But take a look. This fan gets onto the court during the Wizards and Sixers game. Take a look. Now, on the surface, doesn't bother me because I could tell it was fun. He went out there, slapped the basket, didn't mean anything by it. Shouts out to security that did the full-on tackle, like the NFL, like wrapped him up, solid hold and everything. I love that. That's how you tackle a man. He's a little slow, so I'm not signing him up for the NFL right now. But the technique was perfect. So in theory, it doesn't bother me. But when we think about what these fans are doing, they're spitting on people, they're throwing stuff at people. Now it's a little bit unnerving. So fans reacted to this on Twitter, of course, and it was kind of back and forth with how they felt about it. So this one says, ban and press charges. Fans simply need to be better because all this needs to stop. So I agree with that. This does need to stop. I mean, especially right now. Normally, like I said, I would laugh at this, but given what they're doing right now, I don't know. So I have another response as well. And this one says, I agree on the ban and pressing charges, but fans have been running onto the courts and field as long as there have been sports. And y'all can tell, but there's a lot going on in that video. But this is true. Fans have always been doing this. It's one of those things. They did it in the Super Bowl. We had that streaker that had on a freaking lingerie outfit. It's a thing. People have been doing this since the dawn of time. So technically, it's not something that is new. But still, it's just one of those things. But Bradley Beal had some thoughts on this. So I want y'all to take a listen to what he had to say.
Okay. I don't want to use my hood slur, but these hands work.
I got you.
Y'all.
They asked him, they said, do you feel less safe? He said, I don't feel less safe because, these hands work. So if you can come out here if you want to and try to put hands on me if you want to, but just know, again, don't start none, won't be none. So, Devin, what did you think about Bradley Beal's response to this and how he feels about if he's less safe? He feel fine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I was a super tall basketball player, athlete of any kind, I wouldn't feel afraid. But me as a person, whenever I see this happen, I put myself in the player's shoes as a 5'2", very, very weak girl. And I'm like, damn, I would be so scared if somebody did that to me. I would be terrified if I saw somebody from the stands rushing the field or the court or whatever it is. But then again, I also don't possess the superhuman strength of any of these players. So I guess in their eyes, it's not that scary.
And he did it the right way. He ran to the opposite side of the court where there wasn't any players. He did it the right way. That's what I'm saying. I could tell it was just, this was really fun for him, and it was probably a dare or a bet or something like that. So he's just one of those fans. But again, if you run to that other side, you're going to get knocked out. Like Kevin Pryor in the chat said, you're going to get that two-piece. Might get a biscuit with it, too. Just be careful out there, y'all. It's about to get real. So let's go on to this next one, because Emmanuel quickly noted the same thing. He was asked about it. I don't know how it came up, but it came up that someone threw a beer at him in game 2 at Madison Square Garden. So this is the post on that one. His quote, he says, not sure why, not even sure who did it, but it happened. I guess that's part of having fans in the game. So he just kind of blew it off like, it is what it is. This happens. But this fan is completely wrong. Now, keep in mind that game where that beer was thrown on him is the same game that they tried to spit on Trae Young. I don't know what's going on in the Garden. Do we have to add y'all to the Boston list? I don't know what's going on with the Garden. But this fan says, why is every player soft all of a sudden? I hate this narrative because that's not necessarily true. Number one, I want a beer thrown on me. Does that make me soft? And number two, that's not how he acted. But this fan took it to the next level of stupid. This is stupid squared. He said that's how new generation of basketball players are. When kids idolize Jordan and his era, they become Kobe, Artest, KG, AI. When they idolize LeBron, you get this. Now, so you throw in shade, right? So here, let me give you guys shade 101. Don't contradict the shade you just threw out there. That's shade 101. He says, that said, of course, fans throwing items at players is unacceptable. I don't see anyone approving that. Boy, bye. Like, you can't. You just contradicted your whole entire. Stop it. But to be fair, that's not what happened in this situation. Emmanuel, he said, I'm going to read this to you because he took it all in stride. He says, I don't know what's going on in their head at that moment. I don't get a chance to ask them, but they were just riled up and they threw a beer. So he's just making it like, they were riled up, they threw a beer, no biggie. So I don't understand why fans don't actually, y'all need to read more. But Devin, what do you think about this? Do you think he's right in saying, hey, it's no biggie. They were just riled up. They threw a beer, not a big deal.
Okay. Imagine being in a restaurant and the server, you realize 40 minutes later, forgot to put your food order in. So you're kind of riled up, you're angry. Is it going to be appropriate to throw a beer? No, stop. Don't act like a child. Learn to control your emotions. If your team is losing or you're excited or whatever it is, you don't throw things. This is the kind of thing that we learn when we're 3-4 years old. I mean, I just think this is ridiculous. I think it's really disrespectful to the players to have things thrown at them, whether it be popcorn, beer, a water bottle. It's rude. And I don't know why anybody feels justified in doing this, or even like they can justify it from an outsider's perspective. It's wrong. Go ahead and boo, chant, do whatever you want. But this is just stupid and childish.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with these fans. It's like, maybe I do. Maybe it's because we were locked in the house for so long. Now we're out and we don't know how to act. But like Devin said earlier, revisit your mom, see how she raised you, and then act like that. But this next one, I think you just got to get over this because this is literally going to happen exactly like his clapback said it would. But we all know that moment in time when KD left OKC to go to a team that he could not beat. But we're going to revisit that every year. So KD feels some type of way about it. So take a look at this. I love his clapback, though, because Bleacher Report said 5 years ago today, Kevin Durant played his last game for OKC. Since then, 2 NBA championships, 2 NBA Finals MVP, led the Nets to the playoffs as the number 2 seed. All positive things, but Kevin Durant claps back and he says, 45 years ago on this day, Kevin Durant left the Thunder. Let's take a look at his life since then. He's clearly tired of hearing about this. But Kevin, you are always going to hear about this. Like, God forbid, once you're at the end, you're going to be 80 years old. People are going to say you don't have, and they're going to be like, it was 70 years ago today that he left OKC. It's just a thing. You did it. Own it. But I love the clapback. I do. I'm here for the clapback. I know Devin loves that clapback too.
I do, especially because Bleacher Report is the queen of doing this kind of thing. They always are like 10 years ago. Like, okay, I honestly don't care that much.
Right.
It's like, I don't care.
Yay! I wouldn't care at all. I wouldn't care enough to clap back on this one. But look, this is the moment in time that I was telling you guys about at the beginning of the show, where I'm not saying I'm promoting violence. I'm just saying Vernon Maxwell has a point. And he suggests exactly what I said. Like, these people are going to. My mom used to always say that. I got bullied in school for a little while until one day my mom was like, next time that girl comes up to you, instead of looking all scared, punch her in the face. And when I did, guess who stopped getting bullied? I'm just saying, I'm not promoting violence. I'm saying somehow that's how people have to learn. So Vernon Maxwell posted this on Twitter. And he says, it's just a bottle of water, right? If you feel disrespected, then do something about it or it will keep happening. Guess how many times a fan made a comment about my stillborn daughter? If you don't know, he did have a daughter that unfortunately was stillborn. He said it cost me some money and a suspension, but I sleep fine every night knowing I stood up for her. So I feel like a lot of you might not remember this moment in time, but there was a fan that was heckling him from the stands. And then he got in an argument with him. And then he said something out of pocket. And then this is how Vernon reacted. So take a look. The best part of this, and I'm not playing the whole video, is he went and he sat back down in his chair like he was just gonna go back and play basketball. Like, yeah, that was done, that was handled. Now let's get back to basketball. Look, at some point, I'm not saying go into the stands, but I am saying if one of these fans are in arm's reach and they spit on you, that's assault in all 50 states, just so you know. When somebody spits on you, it is considered assault. Handle your business. And I'm going to be okay with it. I'm going to get on the Fumble the next day and say you did a good thing. Kevin, what would you say?
Well, yes, I agree with you. They would be absolutely justified in going at a fan with their hands and getting physical. You know, if Kyrie or somebody or Russell ever went up and punched a fan, it would be over for them, right? Like, I feel like the NBA...
It can't be. So you can't... Kyrie... Now, if you're a rookie and you do this, yeah, it's over for you. But when your last name is Irving in this league, you might get talked bad about. You're going to get a hefty fine. You might be suspended for several games. But your career you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And guess what's not again? That person's... Some people don't learn with niceties. We know that. Some people just don't learn with niceties. We have people who stormed the Capitol and they still saying that they did the right thing. Some people just don't learn when you use common sense. It's just not a thing. I'm not saying they should do it. I'm saying if it gets too volatile, you got to protect yourself. That's what I'm saying.
I like the idea of protecting yourself. I would just hate to see Kyrie, Russell Westbrook, one of these big name guys, get even a suspension for protecting themselves. Like, that's what I don't like about it. And that's what I would worry about, especially at this stage in the game.
Right. I do think the NBA does need to do something. And we've heard players say this a lot. They need to do something to protect the players from this kind of action. Just period. I don't know what that is, but I don't work for the NBA, so it's not my job to figure that out for y'all. But I do feel like the NBA needs to do something. So let's go on to this next one, because this next one is funny to me. You guys really need to watch the HBO special with LeBron James and all his people. There's some guy on there, Daddy something. I don't know. I don't know who he is, but he's a rapper that had to end up going to Orlando, Florida. But you guys really need to watch it to hear how Jay-Z talks about opening, how DMX opened for him and how intimidated he was by that. So it's a dope episode that it premieres this like last week, I think it came on. But y'all need to, if you live in Orlando, you about to feel really mad, disrespected by what LeBron has to say about Orlando. So take a listen.
How long did you practice to get ready for it?
Like 3 months.
Shit,
yeah.
You put the real work in.
I moved to Orlando 3 months, like training every day. I'm not record any song. I didn't anything about music.
He moved to Orlando. Put his career. I don't want to visit Orlando.
No.
He moved there.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the reason I haven't taken my daughter to Disney World, because I had to go to you guys understand? Anytime I hear Orlando right now, I get PTSD. I was in a bubble
So
for 95.
Orlando has no chance in free agency?
They have no chance.
What if you get traded to Orlando?
I'm not going.
I'm just retiring.
I'm just retiring. It's over with. Yeah, LeBron has been traded to Orlando. LeBron lives in Malibu. He's not going.
Man, I mean, I get it. I've been to Orlando one time, and I have to concur. It's not a place that I would go on purpose. So, I mean, not no shade to Orlando. I just did not like it there. Devin, should people in Orlando feel offended by this situation that LeBron said? I thought it was funny, but I could see the disrespect.
It's funny, but if I was from Orlando, an Orlando native, born and bred, I would be offended by this. I don't blame him. I don't want to live in Orlando either. I don't even care about going to Disney World. So LeBron, I support you 100%.
Yeah, I do too. And when people say, "Ooh, I love Denver," I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." When I people that say, "Ooh, I hate Denver," I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool too." I get it. Wherever you fall on the Denver narrative, I understand it. So let's move on to this next one, because this next one is very reminiscent of something that we've seen before. And it's one of my favorite moments in basketball. So I'm just going to show you this moment that Lance Stevenson became one of my favorite players. Take a look at this.
Indiana Pacers, including this, blowing in the ear of LeBron James, and James' reaction, he can't believe it. And I know you guys, I mean,
I love that. It was the look away that Lance did. And I feel like Reggie Bullock was thinking about this Lance Stevenson moment in his head. But that was funny what Lance did. What Reggie did is like mad disrespectful to me, because we know the shade they be throwing at Trey about his hair. So let me let you take a look at this tweet. Look at this. Put Reggie Bullock in the MSG Raptors for trying to blow the rest of Trae Young's hair off of his head. That's the caption before the video plays. Now I'm going to play the video for you guys. Take a look. Look at Trey. Like, are you blowing in my... Y'all know Trey is self-conscious about his hair, and this man is out here blowing. That is rude and disrespectful. That is so rude. I don't like... I mean, it's funny. Don't get me wrong. It's funny. But this is too much. Devin, I think this is way too much. Way too much.
It's a lot, but I think Trey needs, and I have been team Trey during all of the slander that he's been getting, because I feel bad for him, but I think this needs to be a sign for Trae Young to get a different hairstyle, because it's not working for him. People are saying that he's balding. Now Reggie's blowing on his hair. It is time to fix the do.
That's so disrespectful, because you know he got a bald spot like right in the middle, and he's so young. So what does he do? Cut it off? LeBron won't cut his hair off. You're gonna really tell this 20-something-year-old guy to cut his hair off? It's not gonna happen.
I think that he just needs to make it less of a poof on his head and get a little bit of like trim down the sides a little bit, get a little fade going, and then if he wants to fix the bald spot, he can go get the
No,
the No. There's like a stem cell blood thing that you can do where your hair will actually grow again. He's got the money to do it. It's like $30,000. That's pocket change for him. Trey, I can help you out.
I feel so bad for Trey that we don't even talk about how dope he is. It's always his hair. Trey, I'm sorry, bro. I'm so sorry. Devin has a point, though. If this is what your hair is going to do for your career, maybe you should fix it. I don't know. I think I got one more tweet from a fan on this one. I think maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't know. We'll just move on to the next one, because I feel so bad for Trey. But let me tell you guys, if you want to know how to hit on a woman properly at a baseball game, what I'm about to show you right now is exactly what you should be doing. So we got this little guy. He's at a baseball game, and he catches a ball. So check him out. High-fiving. He's been eyeing somebody the whole game. Now he got to tell his mom, like, I'm about to shoot my shot. I'm about to shoot my shot. Can I shoot my shot with this girl right here, mom? I'm gonna shoot my shot. Hey, sweetheart, how you doing? This is for you. Wait, my favorite part is coming up, though. She tries to give it back to him. He goes, nah, love. Got that for you. That is so pimp. He's so cute.
He's
Huh?
he's doing the "Don't worry about it, sweetheart." Like she's like, "Here, let me get this baseball." So funny.
But look at the eye. I got a screenshot of it that you have to see the intensity in his eyes. He's making direct eye contact, and he is focused on this woman. Take a look. He's like, "No, sweetheart, this is for you." I love it. He's either going to be the biggest Mac on the planet, or he's going to get married at 16. I don't know which one, but I'm here for it right now. But that's all I got. That's all I got for the post up. So now let's get into what we not gonna do. Okay, because this one is interesting to me. Because I got to tell you, when I first read this, I just assumed that this was from some old guy, right? So when you think of empowerment, when you think about empowering the Black community to stand up for equality, empowering women for pay equality, empowering the gay community for marriage equality, it's always a good thing, at least to me, when you're trying to empower people to do something so they can live their life on their own terms and be happy. As long as people aren't bringing harm to anybody, I just don't see why we would care about what they want to do. Let them live their best life on their terms. So with that being said, understanding that I think empowering people to live their best life is a good thing, please take a look at this headline that was in, I believe it was, NBC Sports this morning. It says, NBA GM, player empowerment, worst thing that ever happened to professional sports. The worst thing that ever happened? That's a pretty bold move. So when I read this, at first I kind of glossed over it because I saw this headline and then I didn't think anything of it. I was like, that's an old dude. It doesn't matter. But then my producer sent it to me and then I actually read it, and I'm going to read you his comment. It says, player empowerment is a catch-all for the fact that the league has done a terrible job of empowering teams. The players have all the leverage in every situation. I think it's the worst thing to ever happen to professional sports on all levels. This is not a 90-year-old GM like I thought. This is a current GM who didn't want to be named because he knew everyone would come for him. Well, first and foremost, this isn't 100% true. I get what he's saying when you're talking about superstars, when you're talking about what we just saw James Harden do. You know, he basically made sure that teams would trade him because he just kind of acted out. Kawhi, you know, he kind of milked that injury and then got his own doctors to come in to say that he couldn't play so he could get out. And when we're talking about NFL, you know, we also had a GM in the NFL say people like Aaron Rodgers kind of wanting to write their own ticket is a bad thing. I saw somebody in the chat said, wow, that's a Kevin Lang said that's slave master's mentality. I agree with that because it's really saying, hey, we own you. You do what we tell you to do. We don't care that you have a life. We don't care that you're a human being. We don't care that there's things that you want to see in your career. This is your career. So you have to make sure, especially when you consider the length of time that these careers typically go. You know, seeing players, especially in the NFL, play to like Tom Brady's age, that's not a thing. You know, seeing even LeBron at 36, not really a thing. It's kind of, you have a very short, very limited window to really do what you need to do. So you really need to make it count. So that being said, though, his thought process of saying that players have all the leverage all the time, that's not entirely true. Because when you draft somebody, teams do gain the exclusive rights of the top drafted players, and they have slotted salaries that they cannot negotiate. And even if they want to be traded, they would have to lose money. Like if they demanded a trade during those first 5 years, they would end up losing money. So for the first 5 years of your career, you don't have a say. You aren't empowered to live your best life. And in those 5 years, you really have to prove yourself. You have to make a name for yourself before you can start demanding certain things. But that's that statement right there. You have to work really hard to establish yourself in the NBA, in the NFL, in any sport before you can start saying, hey, this is what I want. It's work. You have to put in the work. And if you put in that work, I think you deserve to be able to say, hey, this career isn't going to last forever. It's not like, you know, Joe Schmo, he can go work at Apple and he can literally work there for 40 years before he retires. No, my window of opportunity is very small. I want to succeed. These are the things that I need to succeed. These are the things that I need to go after. You had me for 5 years that you could tell me whatever to do. You had that 5 years. The rest of this is mine. And I need to be able to do the best that I can for me and my family and whatever else is important to me. So I don't agree with this narrative that it's a bad thing to empower athletes. They are human beings. This is their career. Anyone else in any other job who's constantly looking for upward mobility and wants to get that promotion, we don't talk bad about that. We don't say, hey, empowering this person to seek a promotion is a bad thing. Why is it a bad thing for the NBA? Why is it a bad thing for the NFL? These are still human beings that want the best for themselves in their career. This is that mentality that Kevin Lang talked about in the chat, and it's unnerving that it still exists. And this just, to me, indicates a problem of how much the NBA and the NFL have not moved forward in their thought process about the people. This isn't property. People who play the game. It's unnerving. And what we're not going to do is overlook this. And what we're not going to do is revert back. We are still going to empower people to do what they need to do. But that's all I got for what we're not going to do. Devin, what do you think about this? Do you think this is kind of were you surprised to hear that?
All right.
Okay. That's it.
Fumble Live, you guys. Don't forget to subscribe. So, you know what, Jackie? This is so interesting to me because this is just another example of the way society in general doesn't view athletes as people. So, first of all, fans treat athletes as like circus performers, you know? And then now we hear this where an NBA GM doesn't want to see players have the power to kind of create their own destiny, which I think is wild because when you're in any job, whether, you know, you work your way up the ladder, and the higher you get, the more flexibility you have to create your schedule, the more vacation time you get, the more, you know, freedom you have to make decisions, make changes, determine what you do with your day and how you do your job and all of that. And we don't question that, you know. We let people climb up the rungs of a ladder in a corporate job or at a restaurant, and then they get to reap the benefits and the rewards of all of that hard work. But when it comes to athletes, we don't want to see them have that same sort of agency over their lives and over their career, which is crazy to me. I think that it's absolutely justifiable that they have the opportunity to make a decision. We didn't see free agency come about in a matter of like weeks. It took a long time. It was a long, slow, gradual change, and it was one that was warranted and necessary. So I don't know. I think that obviously we do still have a long way to go when it comes to the powers that be and how they think of athletes and their careers. And I think that it's fine that athletes have the freedom to make their own decisions and to pay their dues. That's what we are ignoring here, is that they pay their dues, like you said, for 5 years or however long it is. And after that, they should be able to have that freedom. It's wild to me that people would even question.
Yeah, it would be like, you know, somebody saying to me, hey, this is going to be your job until I say it's not. You can't do anything else. You can't even aspire to do anything else. This is it for you until I say otherwise. Why would you want to give somebody that much power over your life? That's crazy to me. So yeah, this GM, I don't know what team he is, but if I could figure out a way to find out, y'all know I'm going to let you know, because this is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. All right, you guys, we are wrapping up here 5 minutes early. 4 minutes early. So that means you guys have plenty of time to hit that subscribe button, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, share it with your friends. We're going to be back tomorrow on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure you tune in for that. And have a great Tuesday. Eat some tacos. We'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.